Okay, Miss Lauren, I hope you're having a fun time at your lacrosse camp. I wanted to go over multiplying mixed number fractions and multiplying order of operations with fractions and whole numbers. So we're going to start by just doing a simple multiplication of fractions. So the steps are to multiply across for numerator, multiply across for denominator, and then you would simplify. So we would have to know, what does 28 and 40 have in common so we can divide by it. If you don't know, you can just start off with 2, but then we still have to continue. So you can do that as many times as you want, or you could just say 28 and 40 have 4 in common, and then just do divided by 4, and then you only have to do one simplifying. But if you can't see that, you can just do it until you can no longer simplify 7/10. Okay, so that's an easy one. Now we're going to have 1 1/8 times 2 1 2/5. So the first thing we have to do is change them into improper fractions. So 8 times 1 plus 1 is 9/8 times 5 times 1 plus 2 is 7/5. Now we do the same exact thing. 9 times 7 is 63 and 8 times 5 is 40. And then with this one, instead of just simplifying, it's an improper fraction, and this started as a mixed number, so you're going to make this into a mixed number. 40 goes into 63 one time, 23 is left over 40. So the answer is 1 23/40. Cannot be simplified anymore. So for homework, you are going to do 2 through 7, and then I'm going to go over this. So for this, you would do order of operations says that we do PEMDAS. So we do parentheses first. So you're going to solve this first. Whatever you get, you're going to multiply by 8. For this one, you're going to do parentheses first, and then whatever you get here, you're going to multiply by 3/4. And then this one is all multiplication, so you're just going to put a 1 under here, multiply all the way across, multiply all the way across, and simplify. And then this one, you're going to do parentheses first, and whatever you get here, you're going to say 6 times whatever you got here times 2/3. So that is your homework. You can pause and write all of that down. And then we are going to do division. So our division is 5/8 divided by 1/4. So we're just going to rewrite the first fraction, change this to a multiplication, flip the second fraction. So just like that. But what I want to do with you for this one is to do, sometimes you're going to have positive and negatives with division, and so that's what we're going to do instead of just straight dividing a fraction. So I'm going to make this into negative 5/8 divided by 1/4. So it's going to be the same exact thing that we do. We just keep the positive and negatives with the number as we convert it. So if you remember, a positive person and a positive person have a conversation, it's a positive experience. A positive person and a negative person have a conversation, it's a negative. And if a negative and positive, it's also a negative. And then a positive and a positive conversation would equal a positive. So for this one, we have a negative and we have a positive, so we know that our answer is going to be negative. So I figure that out before I figure out what the answer is so that I don't forget to do it. And then the second thing is going to be to do the multiplication. So we're going to do, what is 5 times 4? 5 times 4 is 20. and 8 times 1 is 8, and then we can turn it into a mixed number. So I will let you do that. And your homework is going to be -1/2 divided by -6/1, 2/3 divided by -4/1, -5/6 divided by -1/2, and -1/3 divided by -1/12. Okay. So sometimes they're going to mix in stuff that's going to look like this. So it is order of operations. We're going to figure out what we do first. And what we're going to do is we are going to change everything into the same unit. So right now they're fractions. We can't really do anything with that yet. So I'm going to make them into improper fractions and whole numbers. So we have 2 times 1 plus 1 is 3/2 times 2/1 divided by 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4/3. Now we do order of operations, and so we know that that is PEMDAS, and we also know that multiplication and division are worth the same thing, so we just go left to right if you have multiplication and division. One is not done first. It's whatever one is first, left to right, as like we read it. So we keep it in this order, except for, here's the problem. I have 3 times 2 is 6/2, and then I have to divide this by 4/3. So then I have to do 6/2 divided by, we change it to a multiplication, and then we flip it. And then 6 times 3 is 18/8. So the problem that I was talking about was you can't just go straight across, because to divide is different than to multiply. So we have to solve this first and then take that number that we get and then do our changing to a multiplication and flipping. So it becomes 18/8, and then we change it to a mixed number. So we have 2 and 2/8, and then I find a common number, 2 and 1/4. Okay, so you are going to do for homework 1 and 2/5 divided by 1 and 13/15 plus 8/9. Sorry. 5/8. Okay, so for this one, if we're doing PEMDAS, we have to decide what we do first. So first, we have to do our division, and then whatever we get, we would do our addition after that. Our next problem is 3.5 minus 1 and 5/6 divided by 1 and 2/9. So you have to decide, in order of operations, do you do subtraction first, or do you do division first? Okay. Next problem is understanding positive and negative numbers when we're adding. So if you have negative 2.04, positive 2.04, 0, 1.3, and negative 1.3, and they ask you to graph it, you are going to make a number line, and then you're going to graph. If this is 0, then all of this over here is your negative area, and all of this over here is your positive number. So we have 0. I'm going to cross it out because I already did it. And then I'm going to write in my numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. All right, so we already did 0, and then we're going to do 1.3, which is right about here, and then you're just going to label it, and then I'm going to cross it out because I just finished it, and then I'm going to do positive 2.04, so that's a little bit past 2, very small amount past 2, and I'm just going to label that 2.04. And then I am going to do negative 1.3. And then I'm going to do negative 2.04. And that is just a little bit past negative 2. All right. So that is how you graph numbers and understand what they mean on the number line. Sometimes they might give you, instead of just giving you regular numbers like this, they might give you, if you remember, absolute value. So absolute value looks like this. And when it's in a line like this, that means how many jumps away from 0 is the number. So no matter what, the answer is going to be a positive number because it's not asking you whether it's a negative or a positive. It's saying how many jumps away from 0 is it. So negative 1.3 in absolute value is 1.3 jumps away. So they might give you these numbers, and some of them might be an absolute value. So this one is 2.04. This is negative 2.04. This one is 3 because it's an absolute value. This one is in 3, so we have 2 plots points for 3. And then absolute value of 17 is 17. And then this is negative 17. So then you would plot all of these out, with this being your positive numbers and this being your negative numbers. Okay, for graphing, we have 4 quadrants. This is called Q1 or quadrant 1, quadrant 2 or Q2, Q3 or quadrant 3, and Q4 or quadrant 4. This is your X value. This is your Y value, or X-axis, and your Y-axis. They're going to give you something that's called an ordered pair, and what that means is you have an X and you have a Y. So they're going to give you, say, 2 and negative 2. So that is an ordered pair. To graph those, you fill in what these numbers are here. These are your positive numbers. These are your negative numbers. This is 0. These are your negative numbers, and these are your positive numbers. So you have a positive 2 as an x, which is this line right here. So you're going to go over 1, 2. And then you have a negative 2 on your y, and that's up and down. So this is horizontal and this is vertical. So you're going to go down 2 because it's a negative number. And then the last step of graphing is to write what the pair is, 2, negative 2. So you are going to graph the following numbers for homework. Negative 5 and 8, 8 and 8, 8 and negative 10, negative 5 and 10, negative 1 and 2, 2 and negative 1. Actually, I'm going to change these to 6, just so you don't have to go so far up. So 8 and negative 6, and negative 5 and positive 6. Okay, just for a good review, we're going to do 525 times 136, 586 times 29, and then we're going to do 53 goes into 8,509. I'm just making up numbers. There. 85,986. Okay, the next thing we have is what's called a ratio. So a ratio is going to either be a fraction, a something to something, or the word something to something. So, for example, if I am talking about dots, and I have 3 blue dots, and I have 4 green dots, I'm going to ask you the ratio of this, and I'm going to name one of those first. So I'm either going to name blue dots or green dots. Whatever goes first has to be written first. Whatever goes second has to be written second. So if I ask you the ratio of blue to green, for this example, blue's always going to go first. So I'm going to make that the numerator. So there's 3 blue dots over 4 green dots. I'm going to make it first on my listing when I'm doing this, 3:4. And then I'm going to make it first when I use the word 2, 3, 2, 4. If I said what is the ratio of green to blue, then I would do green first, which is 4, and blue second. So my numerator would be 4, and my denominator would be 3. My 4 would go first, and then my colon, and then 3, and then my 4 would go first to 3, like that. So you are going to do circles to squares, and you're going to list it as a fraction, blank to blank, blank to blank, like that, and the words blank to blank. And then you're going to do squares to circles for homework. All right, there are 5 owls and there are 2 hawks. So you're going to do hawks to owls as your next problem. All right, sometimes we have to compare ratios and find out if they're equal, and it sounds crazy, but it's not. all you do is find out if 2/3 and 5/6 are equal. You're just going to act like you're adding them. So you're going to find the common denominator. And then you're going to find out, are they equal? No. One is 4/6 and one is 5/6. So are they equivalent? No. Okay, you're going to find out if 5/10 and 1/6, 8/3 and 32/12, and 9/12 and 3/4 are equivalent. And that, my friend, is your homework. I hope you had a great lacrosse camp this week, and I will see you next or sometime soon. And let me know if you have any questions on these, and I will see you soon, darling. Bye.